Hello everyone, in this video, I will show you some best shooter games for Nintendo Switch in 2021. So without any further ado, let's start this video. The first game of this video is Overwatch Legendary Edition. The hero shooter genre is as big as it's ever been, and you only need look at the Overwatch community to realize that. It may have taken its time getting there, but Overwatch Legendary Edition on Nintendo Switch was very much worth the wait, as it's very much the same game. You have the choice to play as a range of colorful characters, each with their own different abilities, all of which come in handy when trying to keep the opposing team at bay while completing team-based objectives. Next up we have Splatoon 2. If bullets and blood aren't really your thing, but you still enjoy the act of shooting, Nintendo has you covered in the form of first-party exclusive franchise Splatoon. The second game was one of the earliest online titles to release on Nintendo Switch, tasking players to cover the map in as much of their own team's ink-based splodge as possible. Next up we have Wolfenstein II: The New Colossus. After fueling the classic FPS franchise back in 2014 with a contemporarily gritty reboot, Wolfenstein II: The New Colossus returned a few years later and even brought with it a Nintendo Switch version. It once again follows the efforts of Nazi slayer B.J. Blazkowicz and his dedicated crew of rebels, who this time take the fight back to Germany itself in this alternate World War II timeline. Next up we have Fortnite. Did you think we'd make it through this list without mentioning the biggest game on the planet? Lucky for Nintendo Switch players, though, Fortnite plays near flawlessly on the hybrid console, containing all the customizable and seasonal features received on other platforms. It might take a slight graphical hit, but none of this matters when you realize that you're dropping down to tilted towers while trying to be the last person alive, all in the palm of your hands. Next up we have Cuphead. Side-scrolling shooters don't get tougher than the devilishly old-school Cuphead. This throwback to 30s cartoon serials may look cutesy on the surface, but don't be fooled. Completing stages and taking down waves of bosses and underlings actually requires a good deal of strategy, asking you to take note of attack patterns and finding the perfect time and place when to fire. Next up we have Bioshock: The Collection. 3 of the most thought-provoking first-person shooters were finally made playable portably when Bioshock: The Collection came to Nintendo Switch. Remastering Bioshock, Bioshock 2 and Bioshock Infinite together in one neat collection, you'll explore the underwater city of Rapture and Columbia's sky-high setting while trying to unravel a supernatural plot. Next up we have Borderlands Legendary Collection. What's better than one loot-driven first-person shooter? How about 3? Borderlands Legendary Collection compiles the first, second and pre-sequel spin-off into one neat Nintendo Switch package, letting players shoot and loot across their various cel-shaded planets. You can even do so in a group while playing with 3 other players simultaneously, either online or locally. Next up we have Sniper Elite 4. It may have taken its time getting here, but the latest entry in Rebellion's history set shooter series finally came to Nintendo Switch late last year. Sniper Elite 4 rewards players with a penchant for patience, having them plan and account for their shots from a long distance away. The franchise's trademark X-ray kills of course return, presenting well-placed kills in gloriously gory slow motion. Next up we have Risk of Rain 2. The first Risk of Rain was a fairly timid 2D roguelike that had you survive by killing monsters that would then drop items capable of boosting your own abilities. Risk of Rain 2 takes this basic concept and retrofits it onto a third-person shooter format, which adds a whole new layer of depth to this otherworldly procedural shooter, where the scenery changes with every fresh run. The last game of this video is Journey to the Savage Planet. If you're a Nintendo Switch player still waiting patiently for the day when Metroid Prime 4 finally releases, this colorful exploratory shooter from ex-Far Cry 4 developers might scratch that itch. It's one of the best shooters on Nintendo Switch because it features several fun tools to use and refuses to take itself seriously at all. You play as a crashed employee of Kindred Aerospace, tasking with exploring planet Airy 26 to see if it's suitable for colonization. So that's the list of the 10 best shooter games for Nintendo Switch that you can play in 2021. If you enjoy this video, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel Games Puff and press the bell icon for more gaming updates.